Hello and welcome to the Secret Wealth Project. I'm Matt Webley. Hope you're doing all right. So in today's video, I'm going to teach you some stuff about selling, copywriting if you like, in one of the most powerful formats you'll ever find. I don't know if you've noticed, but a lot of marketers online are using webinars to sell, and that's because webinars are about as powerful as it gets. You can sell super high priced stuff from webinars, and you can do so one-to-many. So you're not just one-on-one selling, you're selling to a lot of people all in one go. They are amazing, and whatever you think, you can use webinars to sell anything: affiliate products, information products, physical products, anything, services, anything, literally anything. Just because people don't use webinars to sell affiliate products or to sell this or to sell that doesn't mean that they can't be used. It absolutely is one of the secrets to making mass sales online using webinars. So the question is, how do you write webinars? Well, before I go into it, and before you write off webinars, if you think, oh, webinars aren't for me or something like that, they are for you. And before you think, oh well, I don't want to show my face on camera, you don't need to show your face on camera. You just do it like I'm doing now. This is not a webinar, obviously. This is a video for YouTube, a free video, so give me a thumbs up. But you don't have to do it like that. You don't have to show your face or anything. You don't really have to talk on it if you don't want to. You can always pay somebody else to talk. But ultimately, look, if you want to make money, stop thinking, oh, I don't want to show my face on camera. And stop thinking, oh, I don't want to talk on microphone. I don't like the sound of my voice. Well, crawl back into your hole that does not involve internet marketing and go to sleep, because you are going to get left behind by the people that pull their big boy pants up and just get on with it. And I suggest you do the same. If you want to make a lot of money online, you need to learn this skill set. You need to stop being scared of silly things like talking on a microphone. Look, if somebody told you you could make $1 million next year if you learn this stuff, would you learn it and would you go for it? Of course you would. So don't let things hold you back, because there's no reason why you can't make a lot of money. I'm not promising $1 million, of course, but who knows? Maybe you will. So let's talk about frameworks. Okay, so this is not just a webinar framework. This is very much old kind of marketing speak that we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about old frameworks versus new frameworks. But this can be used in written ads. This can be used in video sales letters. This can be used in webinars. I'm going to talk of it mostly from a point of view of creating a webinar, because I believe webinars are still one of, if not the most powerful ways to sell things online. So we're going to talk about it with regards to webinars. But yeah, so you might have heard of these before, AIDA and PAS. Some people might call them different things, but it's like the same thing. It's like old marketing speak and stuff. But AIDA, PAS, and the new one, MWS framework. It's not new, but it's mine. So, and I've borrowed bits and bobs. I've learned stuff along the way. I'm not trying to say I've invented all of my MWS framework. It's very much pulled from all different sources, most of which I wouldn't even be able to say I got this from there or got this from there, because it would be from books from a long time ago, bits and bobs that I've learned myself from experience and trial and error, bits and bobs people have taught me, just literally everywhere. So not trying to say that all of this is mine, and if you look at it and go, hang on, that's in so-and-so's thing, yeah, of course, because there's a lot of talented people out there that I've learned from, to have come up with this stuff myself, and I've tweaked stuff and I've perfected it and I've made their stuff even better. So anyway, right, so we're going to look at copywriting frameworks, old versus new. So one of the biggest things that people struggle with is framework or formula when they are starting to write copy. I've put AIDA. It kind of looks like Audi, which is a cheap. In fact, it does look like Aldi. I should probably edit that. Shall I edit it? Let's edit this. Okay, we're going to start with this one, and it is AIDA. You might have heard this before. I learned about this in marketing in my advanced GMVQ back in college a long time ago, and it still kind of holds true in certain circumstances, but it's a little bit unsophisticated, for want of a better word. And I mean, it's okay when you're starting out, it's okay putting something simple together, but it's like the equivalent of a pea shooter nowadays. But I'll tell you what it means anyway. But basically, as an overall framework for advertising or copy, like your copy that you write, it's basically attention, interest, desire, action. So the idea is you get their attention, and then you kind of build or pique their interest, and then you create the desire, and then you ask them to take action. That's basically it. And I mean, that's okay. It's a little bit, like I say, unsophisticated and a little bit too broad, and leaves you very much asking more questions than it gives you answers. And it's just not very good these days. It's very, I mean, I don't know when it was created or by who, but it's kind of not fit for purpose in the modern day world of copywriting. But it's okay. It gives you an idea, get their attention, build their interest, create desire, and then ask them to take action. I mean, it's okay. It's okay, but there's much better. And what is definitely better is the next one, okay? So this is a little bit more sophisticated, but and again, I don't know if this will be referred to as not pass. It might be referred to as other things with other little letters here and there, but it's basically the same thing. Now, this is way, way, way better, okay? And this is pain, agitate, solution. So, or problem, agitate, solution. Okay, so this is way more effective at selling than AIDA. But I don't know if AIDA is more aimed at advertising rather than salesmanship in print. But either way, AIDA is kind of like the weakest framework or formula for this. But let me explain what pain, agitate, solution is. So what you do is you point out the problem or the pain, the thing that they're trying to solve. So you highlight the pain, and you highlight that you kind of understand what their pain is. So you call it out, and then what you do is you agitate it. So you make it feel worse. So you not only call out their pain and say something like, for example, just a quick example, do you have a painful back? There you go, that's the pain. And they go, yeah, I do have a painful back. And then you agitate it by saying something like, is it keeping you awake at night? Sometimes you bend down and the pain just strikes through your whole body, and you wonder how you're even going to get back up. And then you go to do simple things like pull on your shoes or pick your grandkids up, and there it is again, ever present, stopping you from living your life the way you want it to. See what I mean? So you've gone from just pointing out their pain to agitating it, make it feel worse. Like, yeah, it's really bad. And then you provide a solution. So there you go. So pain, agitate, solution. So you point out the pain, you agitate the pain, and then you offer a solution to the pain. And the solution is your product that you're selling or your service or whatever. So pain, agitate, solution. So way more powerful. I won't say sophisticated, but way more powerful than AIDA, but still quite basic and a little bit broad. But a lot of the times, if you keep this in mind when you are selling something or creating some mild, persuasive copy, then this can often be a crutch or hold your hand and take you in the right direction for sure. Okay, so then I'm going to take you on to the next one, which is Matt Webley's secret framework, or MWS framework. I'm only calling that for this video. That's not what I'm calling it, full stop, but just calling it for the sake of this video. Now, this is a lot more sophisticated, and this is the kind of firepower you're going to need in the modern day when there's very little trust out there. People have heard it all before. You need something heavy duty that's going to move mountains. Now, that's what this is going to do. Now, this video would be absolutely really super long if I went through all of it. And there's a couple of bits more that aren't on there here. So I'm not going to cover this in its entirety in as much depth as it needs in this video, because otherwise the video would be potentially like an hour long or something like that. I mean, if you guys want me to, I can go into this in a lot more depth at a later point that, you know, when I've got a little bit more time, when it's not just a quick video. But you'll have to let me know in the comments down below if you want me to. But I'm going to go over the basics of it right now. And like I say, I'm not trying to say that all of this has been created by me, and I'm not trying to say this is it in its fullness or entirety either. I've picked bits and bobs from all loads of different sources and what's worked for me. I mean, some of the best stuff that most people are following right now with regards to webinars, I've found is underpowered, genuinely underpowered. I've tried their stuff and it doesn't work as well as my stuff. So, you know, you can get put in the right direction for sure. But in this day and age, you need a sophisticated sales process that really moves mountains, and that's what this framework will do for you. Right, so I'm going to just go over some of it, and all of these things should be in your sales process. Now, if you're talking about a little description for some dropship product on Shopify, then you probably don't need this kind of stuff. But if you're going to sell an expensive service, a high-ticket service, or a high-ticket coaching program, or a high-ticket info product, or something whereby it's not impulsive purchase based, it's something that takes consideration and it's at a price point whereby people aren't just going to give you the money willy-nilly, then this is the kind of thing that will move mountains. This will get people tearing their cash and their cards out of their wallets or their purses and begging you to take their money. I'm not even joking. This stuff is magic and powerful. But like I said, I've not got time right now to go into it fully. I'm going to tell you bits and bobs. I'm going to go over it briefly. But if you want more in-depth training on this, I'm not joking when I say this stuff moves mountains, then let me know in the comments down below and give me a thumbs up. The more comments I get asking for this and the more thumbs up I get, the way more chance I've got of putting this together. And when I do, it will be free. So I will put this together for you for free if you want to know it, but I've got to know that you want it. Otherwise, I'm just not going to bother. But let's go into it anyway. So we've seen the other frameworks. We've seen the AIDA, attention, interest, desire, action. It's very basic, very simplistic, but you know, it is what it is. Pain, agitate, solution, a lot better, but still very basic and simplistic. So let's go over some of the MWS framework, a webinar framework. And again, MWS is a term used on Amazon. It's not that. It's just something I've used for this video. So a big what's in it for me promise that is almost unbelievable, but that you can prove. So that's the first thing you hit them with in your sales process. So this might be a webinar, or it could be a sales letter, or even a sales video. You tell them something. It's the headline almost. So you give them a headline that's so kind of powerfully kind of good. It's almost unbelievable. You don't want it to be too unbelievable. You don't want for it to be stupid, like, give me $10 and I will show you how to build a rocket to take you to Mars tomorrow. It's ridiculous. But something that will make them go, this is BS, but that you can quickly prove. So a big what's in it for me promise. So how to is a good way to frame those kind of headlines, but it's not the only way. There's a million different ways. But again, that's probably for another video, another time. And then what you want to do straight after that, and these aren't in order. These are more things you want to include. So this is not the right order, and you do have to get the order right. You do have to get the details right. But this is just a few things to think about to take things to the next level. But what you want to do straight after a big what's in it for me promise is give them a reason to kind of believe you, or you might not do it straight away, but you do it pretty quick after. So something else you need to do, and again, this is not in order, but you want to have increased perceived value compared to the price. So you want the value to feel high of your product and the price to feel low, even if it's not low. So if they think, because you've built this product up to, you know, if they think it's worth $20,000 and then you're only asking for $500, $500 is not going to feel expensive when they believe it's worth $20,000. Now, I'm not just saying, this is worth this, this is worth this, this is worth that. I'm not saying do that, although you can. I'm just saying create an offer so value-packed that there's no doubt in it, it's worth way more than you're asking for it. You see, as soon as the value is vastly, is in comparison to the price, when the value is vastly more than the price you're asking for that value, that is when people will exchange money. So you need for the offer to feel high value and the price to feel low. It doesn't have to be a low price. It just has to be a low perceived price in relation to the high value. Hopefully that makes sense. Again, give me a thumbs up and let me know in the comments down below if you want me to go into this stuff more in a proper full kind of training that maybe takes an hour or something. This is just a quick overview. Something else you want to do is establish credibility and believability. So you want to position yourself. So there's lots of ways to do this in a very subtle way, but you want to be seen as a credible, believable authority in whatever it is you're selling. So whatever you could do to establish credibility, whether that's photographs or that establish your credibility, or whether that's qualifications, or whether that's pointing out your experience, or whether that's sharing stories that resonate in a certain way. There's lots of different ways to establish credibility and believability, but you want to do that early on, especially if you've made them a massive promise. You need to establish some sense of why they should believe you, okay? Now, something else you want to weave in there is psychological triggers. This is from Robert Cialdini. This is Principles of Persuasion. Now, some people, when I've talked about this before on YouTube, some people have been like, "Oh, that's old. It's old." That stuff is magic. Never mind old. I have gone through email sequences before and just sprinkled Cialdini's stuff into them, changing a few words here or there, and skyrocketed. And I mean absolutely skyrocketed the conversion rate by just doing that. So taking the exact same message and just superpowering it with Cialdini's Principles of Persuasion, and watched that conversion rate skyrocket. I'm not joking. So I don't care if it's old. The beauty of good copy is it never really gets old. The vehicle changes. You know, instead of writing a direct mail piece and sending it in an envelope to your prospect's house and having them open it and read it, that doesn't happen so much these days. You know, the vehicle might be via a webinar or via an Ever webinar or something like that. But ultimately, the same things that persuaded human beings 100 years ago are the exact same things that persuade them now. Structure might have changed, framework might have got a little bit more sophisticated, vehicle has definitely changed, but ultimately the triggers remain the same because it's appealing to your croc brain and all kinds of bits and bobs of every human being's brain that they cannot resist, they cannot control. It's just built into every human being. So you sprinkle this stuff in there, it just works. It's the way we're wired. There's no denying it. It would take generations of evolution for that to somehow come out of us. It's built into us. So, you know, when idiots say things like, "Oh, that's old stuff," well, go find new stuff then, you blooming idiot, because this stuff works. It's tried and tested by others and by me. Now, trial closers, you'll have seen a lot of sales things, especially sales presentations from stage. But I can't remember the guy's name that come up with this stuff. But again, sorry for that. But again, I've not invented this. But if you can the way trial closers are, and what I'm actually talking about in this sales sense, are slightly different. But I've heard them referred to as trial closers, so I'll go for that terminology. But a trial close is basically asking for the sale without asking for it. But in this sense, what I'm saying is really getting micro commitments or micro yeses. So you know, you would basically stop and ask your audience a question that gets them to say yes. And the more times you can get them to say yes, the more they are likely to take action. When you come to ask for the sale, they're more likely to say yes. So you would weave in these simple yeses throughout your sales process. And again, it doesn't have to be one-to-one. This can often be, usually, I mean, in this case, I'm talking about webinars and stuff. Now, something else you want to do is increase the pain associated with the problem. So this goes back to the pain, agitate, solution. You absolutely want to. So you don't just want to give them, you don't want to just give them the pain that they, or agitate the pain that they are feeling that's associated to the problem. You want to increase it. You want to agitate it by pointing out pains that are related to the pain. So you can create pains in the prospect's mind that they don't even feel like they have right now, but because they have the problem and the direct pain from that problem, you can start talking about indirect pains, and they can empathize with those pains on a subconscious level, and that kind of triggers the brain into kind of like a more agitated state with regards to the pain, and that increases the pain. And the more you can increase the pain associated with the problem, the more you are likely to drive them towards your solution when you come to offer it to them. And then another thing you want to do is increase the pleasure associated with the solution. So as you're increasing the pain associated with the problem, you are increasing the pleasure associated with the solution, or almost like it's like the gas escape valve. As that pain gets so much, when they start thinking about it as you're agitating it within the sales process, the solution feels like it's like an escape. It's like, yes, I need that solution because the pain is so much. Now, I'm not suggesting that you should make people feel pain and manipulate their emotions. This is all very subtle. This is all very kind of weaved into the sales process without anybody really knowing what's going on, unless you are good at writing copy, and then you do know what's going on. You can see it happening live, and it's quite interesting to watch. Like, I went to a pitch fest event recently, and it was a pitch fest. It really was. I'm not here to mention which one it was, but it was just a total pitch fest. But the value that I got was not from the content from the speakers, because the vast majority of the speakers didn't really deliver any content at all. It was just like a pitch wrapped up in kind of like fake content, which is fine. I'm not bashing anyone. It's fine. They were there to sell. But like I was watching the process of the pitch, and I find it fascinating to watch it. And I could see it all like a jigsaw, or like ones and zeros, like Neo in the Matrix. I could see it. I knew what was happening, and it was interesting to watch the audience as they were listening and see them get mesmerized and pulled into it and taken through the sales process, and then ultimately buy stuff at the end. And it was beautiful for me to watch all the different speakers do all their different pitches, but I could break down each kind of part of it, and it was magic and quite illuminating to behold. So very, very interesting. So my value came not from the content, but more from watching the pictures, because I do find it all fascinating. And as you probably know, I've been in the copywriting game for almost 20 years now. I've done multiple six-figure launches. I've done tons and tons and tons of big launches. I've sold over $10 million worth of products at super low price points and all kinds of bits and bobs. So I'm fascinated by the sales and persuasion process, especially with regards to selling one-to-many and copywriting. I think it's probably the best skill set you can learn in the world. It's the highest paid skill set. It's the most valuable skill set probably in the world. I've yet to find somebody that could tell me one that's more valuable. So yeah, I find this all fascinating, but there's so many things to this that I don't want to get bogged down in this, and I don't want to make this video too long. I don't have a timer, so I don't know how long the video is already, but I'm going to skip over the next ones. And again, if you want to hear these in more detail, or you want me to tell you like more in depth how this stuff works and how you can implement it, let me know with a quick comment, and I'll put that together, and I'll do some free training on it or something. But yeah, so something else. So I'll just skip over these quick now, but just touch on them. So you want to enter into the conversation that the prospect's having in their own mind and steer the narrative. So the key is, when you're talking to a prospect via copywriting or via a webinar or whatever, there's not always a way for them to tell you what they are thinking. So copy is different to one-to-one selling, because in a one-to-one selling process, you can see their body language, you can hear what their objections are, and you can adjust your pitch to suit. But in copywriting or in a sales presentation, you can't usually do that. You can't always do that. I mean, maybe if you're on stage, you could see feedback in the audience, or maybe if you're on a webinar, you can read the chat box. But ultimately, these things aren't easy to do, and they could be misleading. So it's not usually the best way to do it. So the best way to do it is to enter into the conversation that the prospect's having in their mind. Now, there's a way to do this. There's certain techniques and strategies and stuff to actually be able to do this so that you can think like the prospect, so you know what to say next because you know what the prospect's thinking. Now, that's advanced copywriting skill set to be able to do that. But until you could do that, you'll never be able to get maximum results until you can do that. So it's super important that you can get into the conversation that your prospect's having and the issues they're raising and the thoughts they're having as they have them, and answer them as part of your sales presentation or your sales letter or whatever. And then you can steer the narrative. You can tell them, almost steer them into what to think next, with the eventual goal of your solution, which is the problem or the product or service you're selling, is what they need for their problem. Something else is understand and resonate with the audience. So there's a saying out there that's like, sell yourself, then sell the product. If somebody doesn't, if they don't really like you, if you don't have rapport built, then they're not going to buy from you. Simple as that. So by showing that you understand their concerns, understand the way they think, and understand their problems, it builds instant rapport and resonation, if that's a word. But if you could understand and resonate with the audience, you're going to have a much better time of selling to them. The what, the why, and bits of the how. So in a webinar especially, less so maybe in a sales letter, but in a webinar especially, you're going to have some content in there. You need some content in there, but how much you give away will directly affect how many sales you make. If you tell them everything in your sales process, you'll overwhelm them and they'll feel like they've got that much information. They would never buy anything more. They'll just go, oh, that was great. That was amazing. I'll go watch the replay and I'll work through it. And that's what they're thinking. If you tell them everything, then you've got nothing left to sell them. If you solve the problem on the webinar, you've got nothing left to sell them. Now, this might not be the case if it's a physical product or if it's affiliate product or something like that. But especially with like online courses or information products or digital products kind of thing, then if you tell them too much, one, you overwhelm them and they're just mind blown, and then they just kind of like eyes glaze over. And they might be amazed by it, but ultimately you're not doing them any favors because you've not given them in a structure that they can follow and implement. So the key is the what. Give them the what. Tell them what to do or what will solve the problem. Tell them why it will solve the problem. So, sell them on the fact that, this is the what, and then you can give them bits of the how without overwhelming them. So maybe you just dive deep into one element of it, but you give them bits of the how. So this is more for info products and things like that. But yeah, tell them the what, tell them the why, tell them bits of the how, but not too much. And then obviously your product or solution gives them all of the how. Something else you're going to want to do is destroy and rebuild internal self-limiting beliefs. Like, I'm not good enough, I can't do that. You've got to do that because otherwise they won't buy. Because if they're sat there going, well, that's all right for you, Matt, but you are X, Y, Z, then that's going to put them off buying. Whereas if you can destroy and rebuild those self-limited beliefs and make them believe, oh, hang on, Matt, okay, so you were just like me. So you're not special. So I could do that too. For example, boom, you just destroyed and rebuilt that internal self-limiting belief. You got to do the same for external beliefs, and then you've got to pre-handle objections in the content. So this one comes back to really entering into the conversation they're having in their mind. You want to pre-handle the objections. So don't wait until the end, and then maybe a Q&A or somebody emails you or something like that, or they call you. Don't wait for them to handle the objection, because for as many people ask the question at the end and they actually, they put the question to you and say, oh, what about this? there's a bunch of people you lost because they didn't ask the question, they just kept the objection. So not everybody's going to ask you. So the downside of copy as opposed to one-to-one sales is you can't deal with objections as they come up. So the key is to handle them in the content wherever possible. Something else is future pacing. So you want to really, you want to paint a picture of how the future will be better once they've got your solution, once they've gone post journey. So, so whether that's getting a six-pack, how's their life going to be better when they get six-pack? Whether that is once they've made more money, how's their life going to be better? You want a future pace, want to get them imagining what life will be like in the future. Something else you want to do wherever possible, and with online sales, at least in the UK, this is going to cover most everything because there's a distance, I don't know what they call it now, maybe it's a Consumer Contract Regulations Act or something like that, or distance selling. But every product must come with a 14-day money-back guarantee. There's some circumstances where it doesn't, but most products and services do need to. So what I suggest is the longer the refund period you can stand, the better. But ultimately, you are going to get people a year later saying, oh, I want a refund. It's like, even if you offer them a 14-day money-back guarantee, you're going to still get the odd one or two asking for money back a year later, which is absolutely ridiculous. But whether you give them 14 days or 28 days, ultimately you want to reverse the risk. So if they, for example, I put my first car online. I bought a car online. I've never seen it, I've never driven it, never touched it. And I bought the car online. Like at every stage, I had to put down a minimal deposit at first. And this was a while ago. And it said it's fully refundable. It's like, well, okay, well, I did it then. And it was like £1,000, which is like, I don't know, $1,300 or something. I just put it down because I thought, well, it's refundable. The risk was reversed. And then they asked for a second deposit, which is more recent. And it was like $2,000 this time. So then I'm like $3,000 into the deal. And it said fully refundable. So I was like, well, again, they've reversed the risk. So it's like, well, I've got nothing to lose. So I paid it, and it's like they are making me commit more each time. And then the next one will be paid for the rest of the car, please. But if you can reverse the risk, then people don't feel like there's anything putting them off. They're much more likely to go for it. So reverse the risk whenever you can. Beyond the statutory 2 weeks, if you can. I'm not sure if there's a statutory 2 weeks in the US, but there is in the UK. Value stack the offer. So don't just sell an offer. So don't just say, oh, here's a 100 video course on this. Stack some value in there. Here's a 100 video course, and you get a premium Facebook group, and you get lifetime email support, and you get my personal phone number, and I'm going to do a live event. Do you see whereby you could kind of stack the value of the offer by just making it more about a bunch of stuff, not just one thing. You want a strong close. You always want a call to action, asking for the sale, and you want to give them solid reasons for why. But again, closes we can go into another time. If you want to know them, let me know in the comments down below. And then on webinars, at least, you won't be able to do this via every format, although you can do it via long form sales letters. On long form sales letters, it's often good to put frequently asked questions at the bottom or on a different page on your site. But a long Q&A, especially on webinars, you can handle all the remaining objections. So they'll literally come to you and they'll be like, they'll ask you the questions, and the questions are the questions that are stopping them from making a purchase. So the long Q&A is good. Don't be in a rush to get off a webinar. You want to stay on the webinar and answer the questions, because every question that's answered is somebody's objection that you're overcoming. And chances are, for the ones that do ask, there's a bunch of people that don't ask and that have that exact same objection. So long Q&As are a good thing. So this is not everything. It's not exhaustive, but it's a bunch of stuff. And if you take these things, this is very sophisticated salesmanship, really, or salespersonship. If you take this stuff and weave this into your next sales presentation, whether it's for an affiliate product, whether it's for a physical product, whether it's for your own private label branded product, maybe you're creating a video sales letter or something like that, or it's a video sales letter, or it's a webinar, or it's an auto webinar, whatever it is you're doing, whatever it is you're selling, if you follow a more sophisticated approach, and again, this is overkill if you're selling $10 widgets, but if you're selling something $100, $200, $500, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $5,000, $8,000 plus, then you need to be incorporating all of this stuff at the highest level. I've touched on it, and you might get a lot of value from this, and you might be able to do a lot of damage with what I've told you now, but ultimately there's a lot of subtlety to each of these things, and it's not an exhaustive list. There are more things you've got to take into account, but if you follow this stuff, and if you implement this stuff into your sales processes, your conversion processes, your sales funnels, whatever you want to call it, you will see your sales conversion rate skyrocket. This is the kind of stuff that gets you rich. If you understand this stuff never, ever changes. You understand this stuff, it doesn't matter what business you're in the future, what job you have in the future, what entrepreneurial venture you start, this stuff will help you get massive results if you master it. There's nothing better on earth than mastering a copywriting skill set. And hopefully with this video, my MWS, I want a different term for that, but it'll do for this video, my Matt Webley's secret webinar script or webinar framework, then you will see huge results implementing this, and honestly, game-changing stuff. So hopefully you enjoyed this. Again, if you want to see more, it takes you a second to write me a quick comment, but if you want to hear more, I'll put together a free training and go into this in a lot more depth, if you like, soon, but you'll have to let me know. If you're not interested, I never know what you guys are interested in. Sometimes you just want to hear about Amazon stuff. I don't know. But if you're interested in this, let me know in the comments and I'll put something together for you. Thanks for watching. Give me a thumbs up. I'm Matt Webley. If you've not already subscribed, please do subscribe. I'm in Spain on holiday, but I'm still putting videos out there for you. Not as often as usual, but I'm doing it. And hopefully you really enjoyed this video. And appreciate the fact that I'm doing this from holiday vacation for our American friends. Thanks for watching. I'm Matt Webley. This has been the Secret Wealth Project. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.